Hi Anna. Hi everyone at The Real Women of Philadelphia. My name is Cindy Jameson and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'd like to make an appetizer for you that's been inspired by one of my favorite meals growing up when I was a child. So this is called Petit au Saumon, and the best way to describe it would be a fish pie. Now I know you're thinking, fish pie? I mean, really? But trust me, this is really good. Basically what it is mashed potatoes mixed together with a nice salmon gravy and baked in a pie. And I thought, you know, these would be really cute as appetizers. This is also my father's favorite recipe. He still asks my mom to make it very often. So this is a way of bringing my childhood memories back, the feeling I got from family when I was little, and sharing it with you. So I hope you enjoy it. So the first thing I want to do to make our Petit pâté au saumon, or little fish pies, is to make our pie dough. Now, I am renowned for not being able to make pie dough. After cajoling my mom to make her pie dough every time she came over so I could have some in the freezer to use when I needed it, she took me into the kitchen and showed me her recipe. And I have to say, this is the easiest recipe, and the dough is beautiful. It turns out flaky, and I could make it. So if I can make it, anybody can make this pie dough. So let's get started. In my large bowl, I have about 1/3 of a cup of lard. To that, I want to add 1 cup of flour. And I'm just going to work that together with my hands until it resembles coarse meal. Now that our lard and our flour have been mixed together, I want to take 1 egg and crack it into the same measuring cup I used to measure out the flour. To that, I want to add, oh, and I forgot to mention, I also added a tablespoon of baking powder to my pie dough. To my egg, I just want to add 1 teaspoon of white vinegar. And then I just want to fill the rest of my measuring cup with cold water. Just beat all that together with a fork to combine everything. Now I'm not going to be using this whole cup of water, but since I scaled my mom's recipe down and the original recipe calls for 1 egg, I'm just going to use however much liquid I need and reserve the rest. Just mix that all up with your fork until a nice dough forms. Next, what I'd like to do is take half a large onion that I've sliced, and I'm just going to throw these in a skillet on my stove with some olive oil, maybe a hint of brown sugar, just to let them caramelize and get all nice and sweet while we prepare our filling. So I just added about a teaspoon of brown sugar to my onions. I'll turn that down to low and let it work its magic. Now on to our filling. In my small sauce pot, I have 1 can of sockeye salmon that I've boned and removed the skin. I'm just going to add a touch of water to that, and we're going to let this cook over low heat on the stove and then thicken it up with a bit of cornstarch. Now on to the mashed potatoes. If you remember in my previous appetizer video, I made potato skins and I saved the flesh from those potato skins, and I will be using them today. If you don't have leftover mashed potatoes, say, or leftover potatoes like this in your fridge, just go ahead and cook up 2 medium potatoes. So I've slightly warmed these in the microwave. I popped them in there for about a minute. I'm just going to put that in my bowl. And To that, I'm going to add half a container of dill cream cheese. Now, I used Anna's tip for this. Since this was kind of a last-minute video that I decided to make, I popped this in the microwave for about 20 seconds, and it's going to be perfect to work with. And now with your trusty old potato masher, I'm just going to mash this together until it's nice and smooth. And I also want to add 1 pinch of salt and a few good cracks of fresh ground pepper. And since I'm not feeling that they're smooth enough, I'm going to add just a splash of milk. I'd say maybe 1 to 2 tablespoons. So our onions are working away here. On the back burner, I'm just going to stir those. They're starting to get nice and golden. And they smell really good too. I'm just going to season those with a bit of salt and some black pepper. And then in front here, we have our can of salmon. That's just bubbling away. I went ahead and I broke it down into manageable sized pieces. Most of it is flaked, but I still want a few big pieces in here, just so you can get that bite of salmon every now and then. To our salmon, I want to add a slurry that I've made with about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and I'd say the same amount of water. So just add it slowly. You don't want this super thick. You still want it nice and smooth. So now it's time to add the salmon to the mashed potatoes. When I was little, I used to always want to be like my dad, do the same things as my dad. My dad was really my hero. I mean, I just looked up to him and just wanted to be like him, and this is also one of the reasons that I fell in love with Petit au Saumon, because it happens to be one of his favorite dishes. So this is nice and combined, and what you end up with are these beautiful pink hued mashed potatoes with nice bits of dill going through them. So here we go, rolling the dough out. It's just been resting in the fridge. And you don't want to work it too much, because that's what's going to make it tough. Just want to roll this out to about 1/8 of an inch thick. So now I'm just going to take my cookie cutter and cut out some circles. I'm going to press these into my mini muffin tins. I put my mashed potato salmon filling into a Ziploc bag, and I snipped off the tip, and we're just going to squeeze some of that in there just to fill it up, leaving a nice peak at the end. And these are going to bake in a 350-degree oven until the crust is nice and golden around the edges. So my tarts were in the oven for about 15 minutes. The edges started to get nice and golden, and now it's time to plate them up. I just let them sit for a few minutes so they wouldn't be too warm to handle. Now that I've topped them with the caramelized onion, I'm just going to put a tiny little pinch of dried parsley. So there you have it, my Petit au Saumon. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you give these a try. Now let's try one of these. You can really taste the dill. That mixed with the salmon is just wonderful. Mom, I think you would like these.